When promising lives are irrevocably damaged and cut short by violence, it's a terrible thing. Domestic abuse can have irreversible and deadly consequences. On September 19, 2021, authorities found the remains of 22-year-old Gabrielle Petito near Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming, less than 2 weeks after her mother had filed a missing persons report. An autopsy determined that she had been hit in the head and neck and then strangled to death 3 to 4 weeks earlier. After finding Gabby's body, police named her fiancé, Brian Christopher Laundrie, as a person of interest in her death. It should have been a once-in-a-lifetime journey filled with joy and enlightenment. Sunny shots of a smiling young woman in hiking boots, framed by gorgeous orange sandstone arches on Instagram, made everything look picture-perfect. Visitors to @Gabs Petito could scroll to see her soaking in an antique outdoor bath, playing under the falling water, and kissing Brian, her fiancé, as they waded together in Mystic Hot Springs. Post after post shows photos of a young woman on an incredible adventure, hiking through canyons and sand surfing in Great Sand Dunes National Park, smiling brightly and having the time of her life. Gabby and Brian met years earlier when they were students at Bayport Blue Point High School in Bayport, New York. After graduating in 2017, Gabby moved to Carolina Beach, North Carolina, to see what life would bring her. She was thinking about attending a community college, but when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, everything changed. By March of 2019, she had reconnected with Brian. They soon started dating and moved in together at his parents' house in Northport, Florida. The COVID-19 pandemic was unlike anything the world has ever experienced before. Not knowing what the future might hold and seeing how fragile life could be, lots of people began living for the moment, determined to live their best lives now. Gabby and Brian decided to take a chance and left for their first cross-country road trip over the winter holidays of 2019 and 2020, taking a car from New York to California. Along the way, Gabby posted photos on Instagram that showed her hanging out at a boardwalk on the West Coast, checking out art, standing under the neon lights in Las Vegas, and hiking through Yosemite National Park. After driving back east and celebrating Gabby's 21st birthday the following March, the couple hung out in Florida before heading to Georgia the following June. They seemed to be very much in love, and on July 2nd, 2020, Gabby posted that Brian had proposed marriage, and she said yes. Wanting to take their adventure up a notch, Gabby and Brian decided to pursue van life. Gabby worked a side hustle as a nutritionist, while Brian picked up shifts at a juice bar. By December 2020, Gabby had saved enough money to buy a converted 2012 Ford Transit Connect for their trip. She decided to start a vlog and continue to share her life with the world on social media. Over the next few months, the couple prepared for their trip. Gabby's brother was graduating that June, so they took the van up to Blue Point and decided to start from there. Brian and Gabby began their fateful journey right around the first anniversary of their engagement. They intended to take 4 months to visit national parks across America while documenting their travels and living in Gabby's van. On July 4th, 2021, Gabby posted a photo of herself standing under a stone arch at the Monument Rocks in Kansas and captioned it, "There's no place like the tiny home we built." As she and Brian pressed westward, she told her followers about building the van with Brian and scoring a last-minute reservation at a campsite near the Great Sand Dunes in Colorado. About a week later, they moved on towards a camp at Zion National Park in Utah. When they arrived, they set up a tent outside in view of the canyons. Most of Gabby's Instagram posts show her alone, but occasionally she would get another traveler to take a picture of her and Brian together. In her posts, they seem happy, and as they gaze into each other's eyes, there's no real sign of the trouble that lurked under the surface of their relationship. Sadly, things took a terrible turn in August 2021. If you scroll through Gabby's Instagram account today, the life she posted seems idyllic, free-spirited, and romantic. Behind the scenes, she worked hard to bring her story to her viewers by keeping the van beautiful, learning new editing techniques, preparing her YouTube channel, building her website, and taking breaks to drive the van. As much as she made her bohemian life look easy, she and Brian were starting to experience extreme strain in their relationship. Though their lives looked like a perfect escape, the pandemic raged on and COVID restrictions were taking their toll. Brian worried the couple would run out of money. Perhaps he became jealous of Gabby's ambition or felt like a third wheel. Whatever the case may be, by August, things were starting to fall apart. On August 12, 2021, an anonymous caller to 911 reported seeing Gabby and Brian fighting in the Moonflower Community Cooperative in Moab, Utah. The caller said that he saw Brian hit Gabby twice before they drove away together. Later, a second witness would tell the police that it looked like Gabby and Brian were talking aggressively and that Gabby had been punching Brian's arm as he tried to take her phone away and leave without her. They eventually got in the van together, and as Brian took the wheel, Gabby asked him, "Why do you have to be so mean?" Following the call, Moab City Police Department went out to search for the van. When they spotted it weaving near the entrance of Arches National Park, they signaled Brian to pull over. In a clip titled "Gabby Petito Case, Full Utah Body Cam Video" posted to YouTube, footage shows Gabby rolling down the passenger side window as the police approach the car. She's distraught and crying hard. One of the officers asks the couple what's going on, and Gabby says that she and Brian have been fighting.
What's your guys' names?
Gabby.
I'm Brian.
Gabby, Brian? Okay. What's going on? How come you're crying?
I'm just sorry. We've just been fighting this morning. Some personal issues.
After Brian says he hit a bump, Gabby tells the officer, "I was distracting him from driving. I'm sorry." After the officer asked Gabby to step out of the car, they walked together towards the police vehicle, away from the van.
You want to tell me what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some days I have really bad OCD, and
Okay.
I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, "I'm sorry that I'm so mean," because sometimes I have OCD and sometimes I just get really frustrated. Not like mean towards him. I just like, I guess my vibe is like I hear him be like in a bad mood. And I was just saying, I'm sorry if I'm in a bad mood. I just really stressed. I had so much work I was doing on my computer this morning.
What do you do for a living?
I was a nutritionist. That was my
That's
job.
cool.
And I just quit my job to travel across the country. And I'm trying to start a blog. I just have a lot of stuff. So I've been building my website. So I've just been really stressed. And he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it. So that's kind of been like a, I don't know, he's like, I don't know. We've just been fighting all morning. And he wouldn't let me in the car before. And then,
Why don't I sit you down in the back seat of my car? You're not in any trouble, okay? I'm not going to be putting handcuffs on you. You obviously don't have any weapons. I'm going to get you into the air conditioning, let you take a breath, relax a little bit, and then I'll come back and talk to you in a few minutes, okay?
okay.
Alrighty. So, tell me what's going on.
She just gets worked up sometimes, and I try and really distance myself from her. So like I locked the car and I walked away from her. What happened this morning is that she's trying to start up like her own little website blog and everything. So I give her time. And we really had a nice morning, if anything, but she just got worked up because we were trying to get going and get our day going because we want to go like Arches before the stuff like that. I locked the keys so I could walk away. I said, let's just take a breather and let's not go anywhere. Let's just calm down for a minute. She worked up, and then she had her phone and was trying to get the keys to me. So that way, I was just trying to. I know I shouldn't push, but I was just trying to push her way to go. Let's just take a minute, step back, and breathe. And she got me with her phone.
After asking Brian to wait on the curb, the officer goes back to the police car to get more details from Gabby. At first, she minimizes their dispute, but according to reports, when the officer pointed out marks on her arm and face and told her to just be honest, she said that Brian kept telling me to shut up and grabbed my face.
Don't worry, just be honest.
It's difficult to hear exactly what Gabby's saying to the officer while she's in the van, but later, an officer's report stated that at no point in my investigation did Gabrielle stop crying, breathing heavily, or compose a sentence without needing to wipe away tears, wipe her nose, or rub her knees with her hands. The male tried to create distance by telling Gabby to take a walk to calm down, and She did not want to be separated from the male and began slapping him. He grabbed her face and pushed her back as she pressed upon him and the van.
Well, to be honest, I definitely hit him first.
Where'd you hit him?
I slapped him.
You slapped him first? And then what, just on his face?
And he kept telling me to shut up.
How many times did you slap him?
Couple.
And then what? And his reaction was to do what?
They grabbed me, like, with his nail, and I guess that's why it looks... I definitely have a cut right here, like a feel it.
Yeah.
It burns. But,
Gabby and Brian did not want to press charges, so Moab police attributed the incident to a mental breakdown rather than making arrests for domestic violence.
I've decided I am not going to cite you for domestic violence battery, okay? It was only going to be a Class B misdemeanor. However, the domestic violence portion of it enhances it. Makes like a major pain in the butt, especially you're 22, right? So I'm choosing not to cite you today. So you are not going to be charged with it. All right? But this is what I do have to do. I am separating you tonight. Okay?
They arranged for Brian to spend a night at the Bowen Motel in Moab to cool off, while Gabby stayed in her van. Instagram posts dated August 12th show Gabby hiking and posing near the rock formations in Arches National Park. It's unclear if the photos were taken before or after the police found her crying. On August 17th, 2021, Brian flew back to Tampa, Florida from Salt Lake City, Utah, leaving Gabby at a Fairfield Inn and Suites hotel near the airport. The Laundrie family attorney later explained that he wanted to obtain some items and empty and close the storage unit to save money as they contemplated extending the road trip. While Brian was gone, Gabby continued to edit the video montage of their trip so far, and on August 19, 2021, she posted "Van Life, Beginning Our Van Life Journey" to YouTube. The video clips document their journey through the parks and show them kissing, laughing, eating breakfast, and enjoying their time together. On August 23rd, Brian came back to meet Gabby and continue their trip. Hotel staff say that Gabby checked out of her room the next day. The day after that, in a phone call, Gabby told her mom that she and Brian were headed to Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Parks. She also made her last post on Instagram that day. Photos show her in a long skirt, smiling and posing in front of an abstract black, white, and orange monarch butterfly mural in Ogden, Utah. Witnesses say they spotted Gabby and Brian at a restaurant in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and a Whole Foods store in Jackson. One of the onlookers claimed that Brian had been behaving aggressively while they were at the restaurant, and he argued with the staff about money. Later, CCTV footage showed the couple leaving Whole Foods at around 2:56 p.m. that afternoon and heading toward the Bridger Teton National Forest campsite. This was the last time anyone saw Gabby alive. On August 27th, Gabby's mom received a strange text that read, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." Stan was Gabby's grandfather, but Gabby had never called him by his first name. At this point, Gabby's mother started to become concerned. Then, on August 29th, a woman named Miranda Baker posted on TikTok that she and her boyfriend picked up Brian near Coulter Bay Village as he was hitchhiking alone. She mentioned that it was weird that Brian had offered $200 for the ride, but looked fairly clean even though he had been camping. That evening, a different driver dropped Brian off at the entrance to the Spread Creek dispersed camping area and said that he started acting antsy as they approached the entrance. Brian called his mom that night. As they said goodbye, Brian's tone of voice changed. When his dad called him back, Brian said, "Gabby's gone," and told him he might need a lawyer. Once September arrived, things began to unravel slowly. Brian drove the van back to Northport, Florida, without Gabby, and on September 11, 2021, Gabby's mother, Nicole Schmidt, filed a missing persons report with the Suffolk County, New York Police Department. 2 days later, Brian's parents told Northport police that Brian went hiking in the Carlton Reserve in Sarasota County, Florida. By this time, the story of Gabby's disappearance had hit the news. The next day, September 14th, Northport Police Chief Todd Garrison told reporters, All I'm gonna say is that we know where Brian Laundrie is at, and the Laundrie's family's lawyer says that they wanted to remain in the background while police search for Gabby. Gabby's family says that Brian has refused to say where he last saw Gabby, and the Northport police say that Brian is refusing to cooperate. Eventually, they name him as a person of interest in Gabby's disappearance. On September 15th, Joe Petito asked the public to come forward if they had any information that could help investigators.
I'm asking for help from everyone here. I'm asking for help everyone at home. I'm asking for help from the parents of Brian, and I'm asking for help of the family members and friends of the Laundrie family as well.
On September 17th, Brian's parents reported that he was missing. Police began searching for Brian in the Carlton Reserve on September 18th. The next day, authorities in Utah made a tragic discovery. The following day, on September 19, 2021, a body was found at the Spread Creek dispersed camping area in Wyoming, in an area close to where Gabby's van had been seen. An autopsy confirmed that the remains were those of Gabby Petito and determined that she had been killed by blunt force injuries to the head and neck with manual strangulation 3 to 4 weeks earlier. Florida police obtained search warrants for the Laundrie property and seized Gabby's van, an external hard drive, and the family's Ford Mustang from their Northport home, hoping to find evidence that a felony has been committed. After the FBI announced that they would take over the criminal investigation, law enforcement continued to search for Brian in the Carlton Reserve. On September 23rd, a Wyoming federal court issued an arrest warrant for Brian Laundrie, charging him with making unauthorized withdrawals for more than $1,000 using Gabby's debit card between August 30th and September 1st. Distraught at the news of his daughter's murder, Gabby's father set up the Gabby Petito Foundation in her honor, while members of her hometown of Blue Point, New York held a candlelight vigil in her honor. After her memorial service on September 26th, Gabby's family asked Brian to turn himself in. For the next few weeks, Brian Laundrie was still at large, and authorities expanded their search. On October 12th, Dr. Brent Blue, the coroner in Teton County, Wyoming, announced that Gabby Petito died by strangulation, confirming the earlier autopsy.
In the manner of death of Gabrielle Lenora Petito, we find the cause and manner to be death by strangulation, and manner is homicide.
A little more than a week later, on October 20th, 2021, FBI Special Agent Michael McPherson reported that authorities had found what appears to be human remains in a once flooded area of Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, along with personal items including a notebook and backpack that they believe belonged to Brian Laundrie. The next day, the FBI confirmed Brian's identity, putting an end to their weeks-long manhunt. The initial autopsy couldn't determine his cause of death, but on November 23rd, Laundrie family attorney Stephen Bertolino announced that Brian Laundrie had committed suicide by shooting himself in the head. The following January, the FBI released their final report on the investigation into Gabby Petito's death. In it, they show that a notebook, a backpack, and a revolver were found near Brian's remains, and that he claimed responsibility for Gabby Petito's death in a written confession. They also said that Brian had tried to deceive law enforcement by giving the impression that Miss Petito was still alive in a chain of text messages between their two phones. The FBI Denver division closed the case and stated the investigation did not identify any other individuals other than Brian Laundrie directly involved in the tragic death of Gabby Petito. The FBI's primary focus throughout the investigation was to bring justice to Gabby and her family. In June 2022, Brian's full notebook entry became public. In it, Brian claims that he killed Gabby after she fell and hurt herself. I ended her life. I thought it was merciful. That is what she wanted, but now I see all the mistakes I made. The note ends with his plans for suicide. I'm ending my life not because of a fear of punishment, but rather I can't stand to live another day without her. Some experts, like Michael Alcazar at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, are wary of the account, believing that Laundrie was someone who doesn't want to own up to what he did and was trying to find justifications for the actions he did. Whatever made Brian and Gabby's relationship spiral out of control, their deaths are certainly tragic. Regardless of what happened between them, there seems to be little doubt that Brian was abusive to Gabby, and she tried to justify their behavior because she believed they were in love. Their story is an extreme and cautionary tale about putting on a brave face during a very stressful time in our history, and a reminder that as hard as it can be, it's always better to step back and seek help the moment a relationship becomes violent.